Start, ma'am.
Yeah. So,
very good evening
yeah,
to everyone, and we welcome Priya ma'am. But before I bring her on screen, this is our program flyer, and want to tell all my viewers, all the audience, those who have joined us on YouTube live channel of ICSI, that nowadays we are running a very important and innovative series of new avenues for educators, wherein we are in conversation with Dr. Priya Visweswaran ji. She is the director of Immortality Institute, Houston, Texas, USA. And the way ma'am is teaching us small, little things to keep us healthy, to keep us fit, to keep us mentally robust. This is something very, very important, not just for educators, but every one of us to listen and to imbibe in our life and to take benefit out of it. And now, because today is also, I would like to show quickly that what particular day is today. Today is International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. So this is again, this makes us remember that such things, especially when we are in our teenage or in the young generation, this is very much lucrative or attractive, but we have to just ignore all these things, and we have to make our life healthy, happy, and happening. And this is what Priya ma'am is trying to do with us. And specifically, she talked this from the point of view of educators. This is something very important. We always talk health from the point of view of family, parents, doctors. But why to ignore educators? Because most of the time, the students are in the schools, in the college, in the education institute. So that's what Priya ma'am has thought of this thing. And she brought this into some kind of a structured manner. And she's presenting nowadays with us. So ICSI welcome all of you once again. And without wasting time, let me bring live in front of all of you. And I share my slide, Dr. Priya Visweswaran ji. Ma'am, we are intended to you. We are happy that you are here. And great
Thank
regards.
you so much. Thank you very much, Chitra ji. I really appreciate your really warm welcome and introduction. And I'm most grateful to Major General Dr. Gulshan Sharma ji for the opportunity to address our brothers and sisters in India. And Jai Hind. And I'm so looking forward to, I hope that we can get all these coaching programs started, because there is a huge need for this globally and in India, the coaching. And so with, I think with a little bit of education and preparation and structuring of our courses, we can actually make a huge difference to our teachers who are our wealth, actually. So that is my humble opinion. And I know that that is your opinion, and that is Major General Gulshan Sharma ji, Dr. Gulshan Sharma ji's opinion too. So I actually, the last time we were talking about diabetes reversal, and then Major General asked me to speak briefly about kidney failure reversal.
Yes.
And using diet and, supplements and not getting into medications. So I'm going to just share with you some few slides, very few slides. Sure, it's a very big topic. Kidney diet is actually a profession. A renal dietitian is a profession. So usually the nephrologists are not the ones who deal. I mean, we kind of have, an idea, but the nephrologists, when we have a patient whose blood values are considerably different from where they need to be from a quality assessment. So the quality assessment here in the United States, the government entity called Medicare, it used to be called Medicare before. Now it's called Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, or CMS. And entity, they used to, they still do, they measure the quality of the care that is delivered to the patients. So they will check what is the patient's calcium, what is the patient's phosphorus, their potassium, are they getting adequate dialysis? Is there malnutrition being addressed? Is there acidosis being addressed? Is there osteopenia or osteoporosis being addressed? Is there heart disease being addressed? There cholesterol, there anemia, there, there are so many, there parathyroidism, secondary hyperparathyroidism due to chronic kidney disease. Are all these things being addressed by the nephrologist? So every month, these labs are generated. The blood is drawn in the dialysis clinics and it is sent. And then the results are all stored, filed, and they can have an audit at any time in a dialysis unit. And if they're reimbursing them a certain amount of money and the audit finds that they are not matching a certain standard of care set by the government, which is set in discussion with the top practitioners in the field, then that dialysis unit will be struck out of reimbursement from government. So they will lose money, they will lose their, obviously they will lose their patients. I mean, more likely the patients will die before the government comes around and does this audit, but it is it's a black mark if it happens, right? This is how they control the tightness of the quality of care that is given to these patients when the government is paying for it. So it's a complicated system, and chronic kidney disease is a very complicated disease. Unfortunately, they don't exert this kind of control before the person goes on dialysis. They are not typically studying the labs of the patient in the different stages of chronic kidney disease. So there are 5 stages, and the 5th stage is when we recommend dialysis. So in a diabetic, when the filtration rate or the estimated glomerular filtration rate reaches 15 ml per minute, 15 is about 15%. In a non-diabetic, when it reaches 10%, then we recommend dialysis. And then you have the different stages, 15 to 30, 30 to 45, 45 to 60, 60 to 90, and so on. So this dialysis recommendation at less than 10% for non-diabetic, less than 15% for diabetic. I'm just saying percent because otherwise ml per minute, estimated glomerular filtration rate, this kind of languaging is complex and it's not easy probably for lay people to understand. I will just give a brief explanation for what is an estimated glomerular filtration rate. This is a glomerulus is a single filtration unit in the kidney. Okay, it's a big filtration cup. Okay, and this cup, you can see my hands are coming like this. It's like a big tube that comes out, and then it coils like this, and then it goes down like this, and then it comes up like this, and then it coils again, and then it comes out with the urine. So in this cup, you have a tuft of blood vessels. Okay, the blood vessel wall, and then there is some filling material between the blood vessel and this tubule cup. And the tubule has all these cells that actually they intercalate and they have all these projections. This is the filtration barrier. So the intercalation between the cells of the cup, these are called the tubular epithelial cells, which have a lot of hair-like projections, tons of them, okay? The filling material or the packing material between this tubule and the blood vessel wall, this is together called the filtration barrier, okay? So in a kidney failure patient, the amount of blood that flows through that tuft of capillaries, right? The small blood vessels that goes into that tubule, the amount of blood that flows through that in a minute in one glomerulus is what is called an estimated glomerular filtration rate. It can be estimated based on a blood test called the serum creatinine. The problem with the serum creatinine in estimating how advanced or how severe or serious the kidney disease is that the creatinine does not go up for a long time. It stays almost flat like this. Then suddenly when there's 40, 50, 60% of kidney function loss, boom, it goes up like that. And then from 60 to 80%, it's like almost like vertical, So what is happening here is there's a silent loss of kidney function without a change in the creatinine. That's the problem with, and then the patient's symptoms people may attribute it to aging, They may attribute it to stress. They may attribute it to loss of energy, interest in life, or whatever, but it is actually due to chronic kidney disease. So it's a very deadly sort of combination. The symptoms are non-specific, sort of a low-grade energy loss and depression and aches and pains in the body and not good digestion and swelling in the legs. Maybe there may be swelling in the abdomen. There may be itching. There may be change in the skin color. These are all very non-specific symptoms, and the most of the general practitioners are not trained to think of kidney failure as a possible cause for non-specific symptoms. So there are some very big problems in chronic kidney disease, and these problems could be everything from acid overload to nitrogenous waste overload. Over a period of time, this builds up in the body. So the space between the cells is called interstitial fluid. The cells in the body are bathed in a fluid called interstitial fluid, okay? And the interstitial fluid and the blood together, this is all called extracellular volume. That is, this is just liquid that is outside of the cell, okay? So in that liquid is where these nitrogenous waste that cannot be excreted by the kidney because it has failed, its excretory function has failed, that's where they accumulate. That's called uremia. When it builds up amount of nitrogen in this extracellular fluid, as it keeps building up, it is called uremia. And it causes some very typical symptoms. It causes a loss of appetite, coating of the tongue, altered mental status, and some other very classic signs of uremia. I can get into that. But by the time it manifests again, there's a uremic frost, it's uremic breath, it's a mousy odor. They may have seizures. Like there's a lot of symptoms depending on how severe or how advanced it is. I mean, by the time people get to that point, in the United States, we don't see patients that much with uremia because they started on dialysis in time. We do get people from other countries like Mexico who come in here as illegal immigrants to get free dialysis because the government provides it, and they cannot afford dialysis back home, or it may not be available or whatever it is. And when they come here, they get put on a dialysis machine, and we cannot dialyze them as often as they should be dialyzed to stay healthy and alive. So maybe they'll get dialysis once a week or once in 2 weeks, whereas the regular citizens of the US will get it 3 times a week. And in these patients, the first time they come, you can see all these advanced signs of uremia, the uremic frost, those whitish, crusty deposits on the skin and hair, change in the color, uremic breath, fluid collection in the legs, in the abdomen, and in the arms. So you can see, and some shortness of breath. These signs are seen in these types of patients. So they're not commonly seen today in modern day life here in America, but they're there. And, these are with 50 years of dialysis. I think it's been about 55 years since we've had dialysis around as a treatment and life-saving modality in end-stage kidney disease. We don't see such advanced degrees of uremia. In addition, patients with kidney failure also have severe inflammation. They are actually, many of them die of intercurrent illness or, comorbidities, what they're called comorbid diseases. So the comorbid diseases may be coronary artery disease, silent heart attacks, congestive heart failure. They may be peripheral neuropathy, where the nerves are affected that supply the feet, and they may lose sensation in the feet. It may also be loss of a limb, like they may have to have an amputation from peripheral vascular disease, so blockages in the blood vessels supplying the legs and the feet. They may have very high cholesterol. They may have hypertension, and that may cause strokes. It may cause vision loss. If diabetes is the cause of their kidney failure, then they may have also diabetes-related end organ damage. That is accelerated or synergistically made worse by kidney failure. So that always is coronary artery disease, strokes, heart attacks, loss of limb, repeated infections, very high predisposition to infections. So all that, the basis of all that is inflammation. And inflammation is definitely one of the reasons why kidney failure gets worse. There's always a question, what came first? Was it the inflammation that came first or the kidney disease that came first? It doesn't matter at the stage that somebody has kidney failure. The question is, how can we bring down the inflammation in a patient with chronic kidney disease? Then you have acidosis. So what is the source of acid in a person's diet? Usually it is animal protein, animal source protein. Usually acidosis is not caused by green leafy vegetables, it's caused by everything else. And the worst contributor to acid load in the body is meats and other animal source protein products. And in kidney failure, the kidneys are not able to excrete as much of an acid load as well as they were before. And some of the solutions in the past have been to take sodium bicarbonate or other prescription alkaline medications that the nephrologist will usually write for, depending on the other electrolytes like potassium for the patient. If they're well enough controlled without needing that, then even a pinch of sodium bicarbonate in their drinking water 2 to 3 times a day, that is enough to control the acidosis. But an untreated acidosis can result in loss of bone. It can result in a more rapid acceleration of the chronic kidney disease needing dialysis, and it can be addressed with diet. So now we're looking at things like uremia, things like inflammation, things like acidosis, and we are saying, can it be addressed by diet? Can uremia be addressed by diet? Yes, it can. Can inflammation be addressed by diet? Absolutely, it can. In fact, one of the causes of inflammation is a poor diet. Can acidosis be addressed by diet? Absolutely, it can. Okay. Then here are some other things that are very abnormal in kidney failure patients. You have a sodium overload situation. Again, the kidney, in the early part, it wastes sodium, and later on, it's not able to get rid of sodium. So you want to control the salt intake in a patient with kidney failure. Is that diet related? Absolutely. Potassium can accumulate in kidney failure patients, particularly if they're diabetic. There is something called a type 4 renal tubular acidosis, in which the kidney really struggles to excrete the potassium. I have taken care of lots of patients with high potassium and kidney failure needing emergency dialysis just for that, because a high potassium level can cause heart rhythm problems and can cause the heart to stop. And it's a terrible situation for a kidney failure patient to be in. It's an emergency, and it requires emergent dialysis. So can it be controlled by diet? Absolutely. Where do you think the potassium comes from? It's mostly diet. Okay. Then we look at oxidative stress. Okay. Oxidative stress comes from multiple sources, including just stress, including exercise. When we do exercise, we're actually creating oxidative stress. Okay. When we are exposed to toxins that we breathe in, okay, that creates oxidative stress. When we consume toxins without realizing it, or when we get infections, those are all sources of oxidative stress. But is diet a source of oxidative stress? Absolutely. Again, those diets that are high in animal protein, eggs, meats, those kind of diets, particularly egg yolks, they're high in oxidative stress. They don't have those ingredients that combat oxidative stress. And are there diets or are there food substances that are high in these antioxidants that combat oxidative stress in diet? Absolutely. So we can change that with diet also. Then we look at weight. In kidney failure, people say that it's better that a person stays on the high range of the body mass index weight, about 25 on the body mass index. Normal weight is supposed to be 14.9 to 25. So in general, having weight is actually associated with inflammation. It's not a very good thing to have a lot of weight on the body. It's not healthy at all. And in kidney failure too, it is not healthy because it makes the heart work harder. It makes, there's a lot more stress on the heart when there is more weight to carry around, and that is not good long-term. Okay. So that is not good for the longevity of the heart. okay? Because pumping faster, it's pumping harder, it's working harder, and it is out of energy at some point sooner rather than later. So weight is another issue that can be addressed with diet in kidney failure. When a person has advanced kidney failure, we actually measure their weight every day, because now it's not about fat or percentage of fat in the body or their body mass index. Now it is about how much fluid are they retaining. And because when they get to that stage 5 chronic kidney disease, they are not able to excrete all the water they consume. And it's not just water that they drink. It is actually every drop of liquid from every piece of fruit or vegetable or anything that they eat. So we have them measure their weight every day, and it is absolutely responsive to diet. Then we look at things like calcium. When there is a high level of calcium, a high level of a calcium phosphorus product, so let's say their serum calcium is 9, okay? And let's say their phosphorus is also 9, uncontrolled kidney failure, okay? 9 times 9 is 81. The closer it is to 100 or even greater than 100, the calcium phosphorus product, this is milligrams per deciliter, I believe. That is the unit for both of them. The higher it is, the more the likelihood that the person is going to die of heart disease sooner. Because what happens when there's calcium and phosphorus, it deposits as a salt in the walls of the blood vessel. And when there is salt deposition, calcium salt deposition or calcification in the blood vessel, those blood vessels are much more likely to get diseased, have plaque formation, and those plaques are much more likely to rupture with inflammation, creating an acute event and sudden cardiovascular death. So can the calcium level be controlled by diet? Absolutely. And if it's low, it can also be controlled by diet. What about magnesium? Magnesium is associated with longevity. The higher the amount of magnesium we consume, the less likely we are to die of sudden cardiac death due to heart rhythm problems, okay? And it also delays the progression of chronic kidney disease. And can it be of course, in advanced chronic kidney disease, magnesium is, the body has a hard time excreting it, so the magnesium levels are high. Can this be controlled by diet? Absolutely. Magnesium can also be controlled by diet. Okay, what about blood pressure? Okay, so a lot of people have intercurrent blood pressure along with chronic kidney disease. For some people, uncontrolled high blood pressure is the cause of chronic kidney disease. For some people, as the chronic kidney disease progresses, they develop high blood pressure. And that's because of salt and fluid retention and inability to excrete the salt and fluid, right? Salt and water, right? So can the blood pressure be controlled by diet? Absolutely it can. Has kidney failure been associated with low blood pressure? Not typically. Not typically. Advanced chronic kidney disease, I mean, I haven't seen low blood pressure in advanced chronic kidney disease unless the patient is septic. So it's usually normal or high blood pressure. Then you have something called advanced glycation end products. Now, an advanced glycation end product is the browning of food. When we char food or we brown it, so, you know, here they do a lot of this barbecue thing. They will put the meat or even the vegetables, they will put it on the grill and they will wait for it to brown or even char, and then they will turn it. And, you know, when it has those stripe marks, it's supposed to be very fancy kind, you know, I mean, fancy meaning tasty or whatever. But those brown things, those are advanced glycation end products. And they are horrible for people with kidney failure because they actually accelerate heart disease. Can it be controlled by diet? Yes. Don't get the food brown. You know, let's not brown the food, right? Hyperlipidemia or high cholesterol, okay? Kidney failure is associated with a higher level of bad cholesterol or LDL cholesterol, okay? What is the cause of this? Many causes. I will tell you a very surprising story. In my kidney failure reversal protocol that I give to patients, I have seen an unbelievable reduction in this low density lipoprotein or bad cholesterol with just a few treatments. In fact, with even just one treatment. I've seen a 40 milligram per deciliter drop from I don't know, I think it was 240, it came down to 200 in patients. I mean, in one patient with just one treatment, but in others with subsequent treatment. So my point here is that what are the factors that lead to high, low density lipoprotein, which is the bad cholesterol, right? One is definitely diet. Okay, so if you eat the egg yolk, that is rich in cholesterol, that is going to cause the LDL cholesterol to go up. And there are other foods that are high in cholesterol that will cause the LDL to go up. So yes, we can control the cholesterol by watching our diet, by eating low-fat diets. And certainly, as we've looked at in the previous sessions, when we eat fat from animal sources, that fat is much more likely to contain cholesterol. So completely avoid things like beef and animal meats that are rich in fat. Okay. Then we go into a little bit of, this one particular thing, which is the restriction of methionine, and that is also controlled by diet. And that needs to be done in kidney failure. Why, I will explain the next time. Then we have heart disease and diabetes. So outside of cholesterol and outside of blood sugar, are there things we can do with the diet to control the progression of heart disease and diabetes? Yes, we can and we should. So it's not just high salt, high fluid content. It is not just high cholesterol. It is not just the increase in the advanced glycation end products. It is not just the elevation of LDL. It is not just inflammation. It is all of them. Yes. So, and it is certain deficiencies that accelerate heart disease and diabetes. Certain particular vitamin deficiencies, certain mineral and nutrient deficiencies. So it is not just all the bad things that we see in the blood work. It is those things that we don't even measure in modern Western medicine that are very low that need to be replaced to prevent the progression of heart disease and diabetes in a kidney failure patient. And it's dietary. That is also in the diet. Then we move on to something called uremic malnutrition. So when there is uremia, the mucosa, which is the innermost lining of the gut, does not absorb nutrients as well. It blocks the absorption of nutrients because that particular layer of cells has become so unhealthy and so laden with the junk of nitrogenous waste, it is not able to absorb nutrients. Okay, so that results in malnutrition. Can that be addressed by diet? Yes, because we can address the uremia and we can address the nutrition. And there are ways to get the nutrition in through modifications of diet that address the uremia and simultaneously the acidosis and will facilitate better the absorption of nutrients from the diet. Then you have something called kwashiorkor and marasmus. So kwashiorkor is severe protein deficiency because of malabsorption, because of inadequate intake, because of progression of kidney failure. Can that be addressed with diet? Kwashiorkor absolutely can. And marasmus is both protein and energy malnutrition. So in both kwashiorkor and marasmus, you see a very low albumin in the blood. Anything less than 4.1 is abnormal on the serum albumin. And the lower the albumin, the greater the risk for the kidney failure patient to die of sepsis, infection, and other diseases very quickly, because it is a sign of poor cellular nutrition when the serum albumin is low. And marasmus is not just protein deficiency, it's also calorie, which means they're not getting enough food. They may need 1600 kilocalories a day, but they're only consuming 400 kilocalories. So they get a pot belly, their muscles waste, and they look horrible, poor things. And that is because they're not getting enough calories, they're not getting enough protein. Can that be addressed by diet? Absolutely, it can. So then you have whether there's vitamin deficiency or vitamin overload. Can that be addressed by diet and supplements? Yes, it can. Okay. What about essential amino acid overload or deficiency? Okay. Essential amino acids are essential for building the body, for making the proteins that do the functions of the body, as we kind of briefly looked at the last time. If there is a deficiency, we can add it to the diet. If there is an excess, we take it out, but it is controllable by the diet. Then anemia. anemia in kidney failure is a result of, it's a multifactorial disease in kidney failure. There is a very bad, either there is a lack of absorption of iron, or even when the body has enough iron, there is an inability to utilize the iron to make red blood cells. And that is due to inflammation, usually chronic inflammation. And there are other causes. The protein calorie malnutrition can also lead to anemia. Vitamin deficiencies can lead to anemia. So nutritional causes and inflammatory causes can lead to anemia. Can that be addressed by diet successfully? Yes, because when we take out the acidosis, when we take out the protein and calorie malnutrition, and when we address the vitamin deficiencies, it can hugely help even with the anemia. Mortality rates. Very high mortality rates, the lower the kidney function. I'll show you some tables the next week that correlate the glomerular filtration rate or the kidney function with the number of hospitalizations and how likely those people are to die. As the estimated glomerular filtration rate declines, their risk of dying increases exponentially, and also their risk of hospitalizations. So can that be addressed by diet? Absolutely. When we address nutrition, when we address total protein intake, when we address acidosis, when we address potassium, phosphorus, calcium, magnesium, when we address all of these factors, their antioxidant status, they're all addressed with diet. So the more we can address with diet, the less the chances are they're going to die of kidney failure, our patients. And certainly the odds of going on dialysis can be addressed with diet. So these are 26 factors, which when they're adequately addressed, okay, and the means of which can simply just be diet, they will slow down the progress of chronic kidney disease or even reverse it. And the biggest rock to sort of, I don't know if I'm showing the slides, but okay, let me see.
No, your slide is not visible, but the information is great, ma'am.
Okay, great. So the biggest rock to focus on is the long-term dietary changes, which will result in taking the workload off the kidney and in moving the blood work back into normal range. This is the most important message of this, that when we get the diet under control, we can get a handle on that kidney failure. We can get control over that kidney failure. We can get it into becoming our slave rather than us becoming the slave of the kidney failure. And so far, these renal diets that these renal dietitians have developed, by the way, I have a renal dietitian course that I enrolled for, and I have 600 pages of printed material from that I will go through, and I will also in successive weeks share that with you. But renal diets have only addressed potassium, sodium, phosphorus, and in stage 5 chronic kidney disease, the fluid intake as well. They are not addressing these 26 factors. So actually, and for 50 years, they've been like this. Why 50 years? That there has been dialysis, and people are looking at this because the government is paying for dialysis. Then they're looking at the quality of the patient's life. How are their lab numbers? Are they able to, is the doctor actually taking proper care of them, and so on and so forth. And 26 factors are not being addressed by the traditional renal diets that have been around for 50 years. And it is certainly not enough to reverse kidney failure. Okay, the diet that we will be discussing here next week will not only reduce the load on the kidneys, it will also reverse chronic kidney disease. And it will make the individual stronger and healthier and less likely to die of heart disease as well, which is much, much more common in kidney failure patients. So just as a teaser, I will give you a summary of this. It's a summary of the dietary and lifestyle recommendations for chronic kidney disease. And this actually changes depending on the stage, and it changes depending on the degree of wellness or illness of the patient. So this is just a guideline. We shouldn't just, just say, oh, she told me this and this is what I'm going to stick to. And it's not easy, by the way, to stick to these guidelines, but we will discuss that. What kind of diet, what recipes, because it's a lot of calculations. There are 26 factors. So how do we get all those 26 factors under control so that we can reverse it, or at least prevent it from getting worse, right? a lot of different calculations. And each of these factors is measured, it is published, it is consistent. Doesn't matter what the food is. It may be cherries that come from Washington state or some other state. They all will have the same ORAC value or antioxidant value. And depending on what that ORAC value is, like here you see this, you need to exceed 30,000 of those per day so that you don't have oxidant damage making the kidney failure worse. So dietary protein, instead of doing very high protein, you should actually be on a very low protein diet, 0.4 grams per kilogram of body weight. That's a very low amount of protein, okay? Sodium, no more than 2.2 grams per day. Can you imagine? 2.2 grams of sodium per day. That's not a lot of salt, okay? And you actually cannot salt your food because there's plenty of salt in the vegetables already naturally occurring that we cannot do added salt, right? Then you have plant-based phosphorus, no more than 1200 milligrams per day. You have potassium. So you don't want to get the phosphorus from dairy animals. That's the biggest source of phosphorus is milk, cheese, and yogurt, buttermilk, and all that. You should never get your phosphorus from animal products. If it's coming from plant-based, it's okay, but limited to 1200. Then potassium. Some people can run very high potassiums. It varies from kidney failure patient to patient. So, but in everybody, we are saying don't exceed this 3,500 milligrams per day or their personal limit if it's lower. This advanced glycated end products, you should have very low or none of these, which means none of the food can be brown or charred. Renal acid load, it should be negative. That means you need the fresh green leafy vegetables and you cannot be consuming animal meat and animal source protein. Supplemental calcium intake as little as possible or no more than 1 gram per day. Why? Because it gets deposited in the blood vessels and the calcification of blood vessels is the greatest predictor of mortality. Any source, diet and supplements. Saturated fats should also be low intake. So this is the big secret here. This particular product he's actually a kidney failure patient. He has created this product. It's called Albutrix. And what it is the amino acids minus the nitrogen, minus the amino group. So the amino group is gone, but the body can make these keto acids into amino acids inside the body. So one pill is equal to approximately 4 grams of dietary protein. So normal people, we would say 0.6 to 1 gram per kilogram of body weight, you should take protein intake. Usually, if you're working out and all, they'll tell you it'll be 1 to 1.2 grams per kilogram of body weight of protein intake that you should have. So here, what they're doing is supplementing the deficit in protein intake with this Albutrix supplement, which provides the amino acids without the amino. So it provides the keto acids, then the body makes them into amino acids and makes protein from them. But at least it's not coming in from the diet. Where does the body find the nitrogen to make the amino? Well, all the accumulated nitrogen is waste in the body that is not being excreted because of the kidney failure. So it extracts the nitrogen from the tissues. So it lowers the accumulated nitrogenous waste in the body. Clever, right? Very clever. So brilliant patient who's teaching us doctors how to handle kidney failure. God bless him. Magnesium intake should be in the high normal range to avoid heart rhythm problems. Magnesium is one of the most important minerals for heart and whole body health. The amount of antioxidants we consume, this is called the ORAC score. It should be 30,000 or more per day. Polyphenols, these are a type of food substances, about 1 gram at least or more per day. Dietary nitrates, 150 milligrams. These cause blood vessel dilation, and this reduces the risk of heart disease. Fiber should be at least 30 grams a day. And then eliminate all the foods that are not heart healthy. So all the animal sources of protein, Egg whites are okay. I think that's what they said. But I personally, I have gone vegan. I'm not going back. And then exercise. 5 days a week, we should walk. When we walk, we reduce inflammation. We reduce all of these other high cholesterol, high sugar. When somebody has eaten something sweet, if they're diabetic, if they go and walk for 15 minutes, immediately the sugar will come down. So walking is very, 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 very important for longevity and for good health. So these are the things. This is how we control and reverse chronic kidney disease. Next week, I will get into the details of what recipes, what foods to eat, and how they meet this. I've shared with you the patient's plan. Now, you know, the renal dietitians, they have a slightly different approach and they calculate everything. And they will not address all the 26 factors that this man has actually successfully addressed and reversed kidney failure. He has helped more than 2,000 patients here in the United States, this Lee Hull. His diet is called Stopping Kidney Disease. That's what I'm going over with everybody. I'm not going over the standard renal diet, which is the same for the last 50 years, which does not address more than the potassium, phosphorus, sodium intake. It does not address cholesterol. It does not address inflammation, magnesium, you know, all the factors we went over, calcium, all those factors, acid load, are not addressed by the standard renal diet. It only addresses those 3 factors, potassium, phosphorus, and yeah. So we need to follow Lee Hull's diet. This is the one. It has worked to reverse chronic kidney disease. It has worked in him. It has kept him from dialysis with a kidney function of 11%, from dialysis for, I don't know, almost 20 years now. So it works. He's living proof. That's the diet I'm presenting to you. And the last slide that I showed was the summary of that diet.
Yes.
So, do you have any questions, please?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Thank you so much. First of all, you're not only an excellent doctor, ma'am, but in fact, you are an excellent educator. The way you have started from the very beginning of this particular webinar, and the way you have explained everything to us, this is something very, very valuable and easily understood by everyone. So a big applause to you for this. And again, a query is coming to us that what diet should we follow, but you have answered that question also, that we will follow it, Amber. Subsequently,
I will tell you, it is a low fat, low protein Mediterranean diet. That is the best diet for kidney failure. Low fat, low protein Mediterranean diet.
Right.
And Mediterranean diet has come out as the best diet in multiple different studies for reversing diabetes, for reversing heart disease, for reversing inflammation of any cause, even for kidney failure. This Mediterranean diet keeps coming out the best in hundreds of thousands of all kinds of people. So that is our diet. And in the kidney failure patients, we have to modify it a lot more because we have to take those 26 factors into account. That I will go over because we need to look at individual recipes. I will tell you where to get this Albutrix. And I haven't talked to you about another supplement called Microtrix, which they give in advanced kidney failure patients. The same man has created it. It's very low dose of vitamins so that they don't get overloaded, but it supplies the essential nutrients that are missing in that particular renal diet for these patients. So that is the key punch in all this, is sticking to this diet for 90 days and looking at those measurable factors. Is the glomerular filtration rate going up? That is an improvement. Are you spilling less protein or albumin in the urine? That is an improvement. How are you feeling overall? How are your other blood tests? Your calcium, your phosphorus, your potassium, your anemia, your cholesterol, and so many other things. Are they all getting better? Albumin, right? Are they all getting better? So if they're all getting better, then the diet is working. So every 90 days, you draw this blood work. If you stick to the diet and you really are rigorous about it, then in 90 days, and you see these 3 particular sets of lab results improve in the directions we just discussed, and I will put it on a slide and show it to you the next time, then we know the diet is working. And then to get the kidney failure reversal, you need to stick to this diet for 18 to 24 months. Then you will get it.
Ma'am, another question, if you can just elaborate us something more about on keto acids.
Yes. The keto acids are the amino acids minus the amino group. Amino group is NH2. So it has the nitrogen in it. And I can share with you the structures of this the next time. But I think this man has a patent on it. And so I'll have to find his patent out so I can share it with you. Right. And they were available in countries other than the US first. Okay. But they were calcium salts. So this man has created magnesium salt probably, because that will also bring up the magnesium level and not raise the calcium and cause vascular calcification. So he has done some modifications to the previously what was available in Europe as a calcium salt of this keto acid. And that is what he's selling as Albutrix, the magnesium salt of keto acids. So it's not just not an acid, it's a salt, but it doesn't have the amino group. That's the point.
Right. Are there any natural plant products also which gives us keto acids as such, or they are all artificial?
Yeah, there are. The thing with plant products is, okay, so that's a very good question. And because I have become vegan, I can share this with you. There are plant products that have high levels of protein, and they have almost all the essential amino acids except, well, maybe not at the level, okay, maybe not at the level that the keto acid supplement will have, but they have enough of it. And I was actually going to show you this video. Do you have a minute? Because I had made a recording, or rather I'd taken this YouTube and I'd wanted to show it the last time. And it was very sort of, I wanted to show you, can I share this with you? Because it's really very interesting.
Sure, ma'am.
Do you see this Vegan Superhero Academy? You see all these boys and girls? They're all weightlifters. Okay? These two boys, okay, they have one mission: to get 1 million vegans in the best shape of their lives, because they believe that the more healthy, fit vegans there are in the world, the faster veganism will spread. Now, one of these brothers had cancer and the other one was a steak-loving Marine, and they became vegan athletes, and look at their muscles. The muscles became bigger on vegan diet. The very famous saying about elephants, right? How elephants are so big and so muscular, and you know, you have things like bison and ox and bulls and, you know, huge cows. And I mean, they have huge amount of muscle. Here, the steak cows, the cows that are bred for beef and steaks, they have, I mean, what is steak? It's animal muscle, cow muscle. And what is it? They're eating grass.
Yes.
Isn't it? So, yeah, I mean, yes, absolutely. Keto acids can be found in plant foods. Right. And in fact, high levels of protein can be found in plant foods. I was going to show you this other one too. This is their story. This is such a nice story, actually. I don't know how I can do this. Maybe next time I will show it, because
no worries.
Yeah, it's really worth seeing how they've evolved, you know, in their soul. They've really come to a place of understanding and accepting and living and sort of surpassing their health problems by changing the diet. So it's really worth looking at how this boy had cancer, and he realized that in order to come out of cancer and stay out of it, he needed to switch his diet to veganism. I'll show you that. It's a very worthwhile video to see.
Yes,
ma'am. Sorry?
Yes, ma'am. Surely we want to.
Yeah, I think it'd be very nice. So, but yeah, I can tell you there are three. I'm thinking three right now. Sources of high protein, and one of them is this edamame, dry edamame, roasted, salted. Edamame is the source of. It's a soy sort of. I mean, edamame is a kind of a bean. Okay. So when it is dried, so it's evaporated and it is salted and it's roasted, it has a lot of protein in a small quantity, very small quantity, but between 50 and 30 grams of protein. So that is one huge source. Then there is another dietary supplement called kachava. The problem is, I'm not sure if all of the potassium, phosphorus, see, to look at a kidney failure patient's diet, you have to analyze all these other things. What is the acid load? What is the phosphorus load? What is the potassium load? What are the contents of magnesium and other trace elements that cannot be excreted in kidney failure? So it has to be looked at with a very peculiar lens. And I know that these products are general people products because that's how I know them. This product called kachava has 200 different plants that have all been ground into a powder, and you can just add water and drink it. And it's a high protein. It's 25, 30 grams in a glass, high fiber, 15 grams of fiber or something. And it also has a little bit of fat, a fantastic source of vegan nourishment. It's a meal replacement, actually.
Okay.
And there are others that have high levels of protein. I mean, the standard ones like tofu, tempeh, and those kinds of things. Right. But for a kidney failure patient, they have to be appropriate. So that is not available because it requires special studies and tests on these sources of protein. And so your question is, what are the plant sources of keto acids? Keto acids, I don't think are naturally occurring in plants. They would be occurring as amino acids or as part of proteins in plants. And there are plant sources that are very protein rich. Now, the problem with kidney failure is if you consume the nitrogen, you're going to accumulate much more of it. You already have accumulated nitrogen. When you consume the keto acid, it will use up the accumulated nitrogen to turn it into an amino acid to build your body's proteins. The body's intelligent, it can do that. In the process, it is not only reducing the load on the kidney, the filtration apparatus, it is also removing the accumulated waste products. So it is really the solution to the problem of not being able to consume enough protein in kidney failure.
Ji. Ma'am, one last question, if you allow, for this particular webinar. Yeah. You told that on an average, to be healthy, there must be a walk of 5 days a week for a healthy life. But if suppose somebody is not walking that much, so will that not walking part will create more heart disease and even kidney diseases?
Yes. Sedentary life is equivalent to smoking 1 to 2 packs of cigarettes a day in terms of how it damages the body.
Okay.
Not walking. So if somebody's sitting in front of the computer like me all day, every day, morning to night, first thing you should do is stand.
Okay.
You do is stand. Even if you don't walk, don't sit. Sitting is the worst. Standing is much better than sitting. And then if you can't walk, like some people have knee problems, joint problems and all that. I'm one of those people. I used to be a heavy athlete. I remember in my, when I took the interview for the MBBS at Armed Forces Medical College, I was All India ranked number 2. And I was a basketball player and I was the team captain in school in the 12th standard. And those gentlemen and the ladies who interviewed me, they said, Bete, we need people like you in the army. We want people like you. I didn't join. That was a different thing because I had some other, I wanted to be near my family and all that. But my point here is when you play or in sports, your joints do get damaged over a period of time and you may not be able to walk. So there are ways around that. You have to move. That's all they care about. And I don't know if I can take this camera over there, but what I might do is just take a video recording of an equipment that I have in my garage here in California. And you just sit on it and you press like a pedal.
Okay.
Either you can cycle, like stationary cycle, like here, there's a huge craze called Peloton. You might have heard of it.
Yes.
Or you have a recumbent seat and you pedal like this. So you get you get those juices moving. That's all that matters. I also have a trampoline. And a trampoline is a bouncy platform. I go out there 2-3 times a day. I'm bouncing on it, just to get the juices flowing. Okay. And so I use the trampoline. I use that. I lift weights twice a week at a place here called Exercise Coach. I go and I I mean, if you see my muscles, you'll see they're pretty big. But I've just started doing that here, but I lift for muscle growth, okay? And I do yoga 3 times a week. So even with knee problems and joint problems, it's very possible to do enough physical activity to not die of early heart disease in kidney failure.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for all your knowledge. With this, a promise to all our viewers that we'll meet next week with more information through Dr. Priya ma'am, and she's the best doctor and a best educator I have met as such. And we congratulate ma'am for this, and we will meet next week. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Chitraji. I have 2 more points to add that are not connected to this. They're connected to the global initiative that Major General Dr. Gulshan Sharma ji has undertaken for teachers in India. So would you prefer that we come off the live stream and then talk about it? Because I just want to give him an update, some very interesting news. So
yeah, sure, ma'am. You want to give it today or next time?
Yeah, I want to give it today because it's aaj ka taza khabar kind of.
Bilkul, ma'am. We are happy to hear.
So the only thing is I want to say for teachers who are interested in becoming coaches, we have unlimited job opportunities for you in India, unlimited earning potential. I am going through this quiz funnel class that I'm taking for the next 6 weeks. I've already taken it 3 times in the last year. And it basically teaches coaches how to attract people who need their coaching services. And I have talked to the owner of this company. He's a very good friend of mine, much younger than me, like 15 years younger than me. And I said, Ryan, you've got to make this course available to our teachers in India who are becoming coaches. And he said, and I think that he will agree to that. So I just wanted to mention that if anybody is a teacher, doesn't presently have a job, we're coming up with these courses. They'll be 3 months long. You get the certification, you launch your practice. We will help you get the leads. We will help you get the income. And as you grow your expertise, then you will be needed all over the world. So that's just the general message. But then the other message I wanted to tell Major General Dr. Gulshan Sharma ji, if I could.
Gee, thank you so much.
And you, yeah, just without the live stream.
Blessings of yours. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you so much.